Good evening and welcome to Caffe Lena. It's so wonderful to see you all here tonight. So as disappointed as we were to hear that the Jam Crackers were not going to be able to perform this evening with Peggy and Dan being out, we were equally excited to hear that Dan Berggren was still going to be able to come out and play a show for you all. Yes, anytime we get to hear Dan Berggren here on our stage, we know it's going to be just a wonderful night of music. So we are so thankful to Dan for making it happen tonight. Thanks so much to all of you for coming out, and we're in for a really great show. Let's give him a warm welcome. This is Dan Berggren.
Thank you. Here's to you. Oh, it all makes work for the working man to do. Some of you know that that's your line. And it all makes work for the working man to do. It was on a Monday morning when the gas man came to call. The gas tap wouldn't turn on, I wasn't getting gas at all. He tore out all the skirting boards to try and find the main. I had to call the carpenter to put them right again. Oh, it all makes work for the working man to do. It was on a Tuesday morning when the carpenter came round. He hammered and he chiseled and he says, "Look what I found. Your joists are full of dry rot, I'll put them all to right." He nails right through a cable and out go all the lights. Oh, it all makes work for the working man to do. It was on a Wednesday morning when the electrician came. I don't know what he called me, but it wasn't quite my name. He couldn't reach the fuse box without standing on a bin. His foot goes through the window, so I called the glazier in. Oh, it all makes work for the working man to do. It was on a Thursday morning when the glazier came along with blowtorch and putty and merry glazier song. Well, he put another pane in, it took no time at all. I had to call the painter in to come and paint the wall. Oh, it all makes work for the working man to do. It was on a Friday morning when the painter made his start. With undercoat and overcoat he painted every part, every nook and every cranny. But I found when he had gone, he'd painted over the gas tap and I couldn't turn it on. Oh, it all makes work for the working man to do. On Saturday and Sundays they do no work at all, so it was on a Monday morning when the gas man came to call. Oh, it all makes work for the working man to do. I am a cracker. I am a jam cracker, and I say hello to Peggy and Dan, who may be watching at home, and that knowing that they'll feel better soon. Here's a song some of you may know. It's a song I wrote for Great Camp Sagamore years ago when they were dedicating their barn. They had some New York State historic grant money to help restore this beautiful old barn in the workers' complex. And there were officials from the state. They were going to cut a ribbon and everything. And I got a call from the manager saying, "Do you know any songs about barns? And if you don't, could you write one?" And Dick and Carmen Gilman know that this song was finished just moments before the dedication. I hope you'll picture some of your teachers, some of your parents, grandparents, driving down a back road. Chew mail pouch caught my eye. Faded paint on the side of a barn, buried in weeds grown high. Buildings going up all over, but there's no more need for this one. And that weathered wood has a tale to tell, but there's no one round here to listen to those big beams hand-hewn out of hemlock, holding tractors, plows, and livestock for the women and men who work so hard. Just like big beams ones you can depend on to bear the load and send on, the courage and the strength to be big beams. It reminded me of back home and the 3 barns side by side, the horse and the sheep and the hay barn, built with muscle and pride. When I looked for my dad in the summer, those dog days seemed so long, and I wondered what kept him going, what made my father so strong. Just like big beams, hand hewn out of hemlock, holding tractors, plows, and livestock for the women and men who work so hard. Just like big beams, ones you can depend on to bear the load and send on, the courage and the strength to be big beams. When we sat in the horse barn doorway, Dad told me stories and dreams, and that weathered man had a tale to tell. He'd been working since he was 16. But now we've both grown older, he's not as strong as he used to be. He said, "Where did all my strength go?" I told him, "He gave it to me." He gave me big beams, hand hewn out of hemlock, holding tractors, plows, and livestock for the women and men who work so hard. Just like big beams, ones you can depend on to bear the load and send on, the courage and the strength to be big beams. Thank you. And thank you for jumping in on the choruses. For the invitation is open for the rest of the night. So in between Big Beams and this song I wrote thinking about the Adirondack Museum, which is now called the Adirondack Experience,